Multiple different New York Knicks insiders have given a major update into Julius Randle's future with the New York Knicks, and we have to talk about it. So what's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into the video as we always do, because recently Stefan Bondy, Ian Begley, and Michael A. Scotto were talking about Julius Randle's future with the New York Knicks, and they all seemingly agree that Julius Randle will most likely not be signing a contract extension that he is eligible for this summer. And honestly, let's just jump in and break it down. First things first, let's look at what Stefan Bondy had to say on this. Now, in the conversation, Bondy mentioned that when Julius returned to CAA, many around the league believed it was because he'd eventually go on to sign a new extension with the New York Knicks, given the ties that the agency has with the Knicks. However, Bondy does not think that means an extension is coming this summer. And then also, Ian Begley said that he is saying yes to the idea of Jalen Brunson signing an extension this summer, but he does not believe that Julius Randle will be. Now, these are two of the most tapped-in Knicks insiders really on the Knicks roster of insiders. The other one is Fred Katz, who we're going to pull up a quote from in a moment. But when you hear these two in a conversation agreeing that Julius Randle most likely will not be signing a contract extension this summer, that is massive news, because that means that Julius Randle probably is not signing a contract extension with the New York Knicks this summer. Going into the 2024-25 season will be the final year of Julius Randle's contract with the New York Knicks, and he is eligible to re-up and sign an extension with the Knicks this summer. Now, if he waits a year and signs in free agency, he can make more money. That's the same thing as Brunson, whose contract expires the same year. But Begley said that he believes Brunson will sign an extension. We're going to do our own separate video talking about that whole thing, so we'll save that for another day, or, well, later today after this video comes out. But when it comes to the New York Knicks, when it comes to Julius Randle, I think that this means there's a world that Julius Randle's time with the New York Knicks could be coming to a close. Maybe there's a world where the Knicks want to move on in a different direction from Julius after seeing the way this team performed in the playoffs. Now, I'm not of the belief that Julius is some terrible playoff performer. I don't think he's played enough in the playoffs for him to really get viewed as some playoff choker. He's played, what, two and a half series in the playoffs, because he missed some games already in that time when he had a severe ankle injury that needed surgery, which kind of makes it hard to count that year. And then the year prior, yeah, he played badly when he was the one form of offense for a Knicks team that he exhausted himself carrying. I think it's unfair to label Julius as someone who can't perform in the playoffs yet, and maybe the New York Knicks are seeing that, and they want to lowball Julius, especially when considering, hey, these last two times around the playoffs, you have not been healthy, dude. We don't want to pay you some massive money that financially straps us. So you're either going to have to take a pay cut, or we're not giving you an extension this summer. Could very well be the talks between Randle and the Knicks, and Randle's like, you know what? No, I'm going to bet on myself, and we'll see where it goes from there. And I mean, hopefully that happens, and Randle plays his heart out, and the Knicks go on to win the NBA Finals, because I do think they are a legit Finals contender after looking at this year's NBA championship. But with Randle, I'd also rather him just take the pay cut now, have to save all of us some time. But he might not want to take a second pay cut with the Knicks. He took one last time around after he had that great season with the Knicks. He might just not want to do that again, which is fair. But the Knicks are going to have to figure out what they want to do with him. Now, as I mentioned, there was a quote from Fred Katz, and let's take a look at that. Because Fred Katz mentioned that the Knicks are really not trying to trade Julius Randle, but they do recognize that their quest for a star could require having to do so, and if a suitable target does not pop up this summer, then they could turn their eyes towards the 2025 deadline, hoping to land one then. Now, I just talked a lot about this yesterday when it came to Bojan and the 2025 trade deadline. Maybe the Knicks don't want to sign Randle to a contract extension, then look at him as an expiring contract so they could use him at the 2025 trade deadline. Say they don't make a big trade this summer. I kind of think they're going to make a big trade this summer. I think that's why they opted into Bojan Bogdanovic, or why they're about to opt into Bojan Bogdanovic, especially if that does get done before the NBA draft. We could see some interesting stuff happen. Now, if Bojan and Julius are on the roster at the beginning of next season, I won't be shocked. I'd be pretty surprised if Julius is not on the Knicks next summer or next season. But Bojan, I'd be surprised to see him here still. I think the Knicks are going to try to make a trade now, using their contracts, not having to feel like they have to push it at the 2025 trade deadline and kind of all of a sudden throw a wrench into your team by changing things up, adding a great player. And even though it might make the team better, it might hurt initially, and the Knicks might not want to drop games in the middle of the season. So they're probably looking to do this in the offseason this summer. I believe Leon Rose has an idea of what he wants to do and who he wants to go for, and it's just a matter of time before he can start doing that. I mean, when we saw OG Anunoby, that came out of nowhere, and Leon had his eye on him for a while. Those talks have been going on for over a month by the time they made that trade anyway. So, you know, there's just a real world where Leon knows exactly who he's going for, and he knows he can get him, and he's just waiting for the iron to strike, or waiting for the iron's hot so he can strike, and the iron does not strike. Or maybe it does. I don't know. I don't use an iron. I'm wearing a t-shirt from college, but this is my work uniform. But, yeah, with the New York Knicks, with Julius Randle, I don't think he's going to sign an extension this summer either, because I don't know why the Knicks wouldn't lowball him. When we're being real, he missed last playoffs, and he was injured the one prior. It's like, dude, we don't want to give you crazy money when we already have to give OG crazy money, and then both of you just get hurt again. We're not going to do that. We're going to pay OG because he's younger. There's a real world where the Knicks say that. And if that happens, Julius Randle is probably not going to take it, and he's probably going to try to bet on himself. Now, maybe that works out. He plays out of his mind. He has the best season of his career. The New York Knicks go on to win the NBA Finals, then pay Julius whatever the hell he wants if that happens. But that also might not happen. Now, as I said, we're going to talk about Brunson more in the other video, but I do think Brunson is going to opt for getting a contract extension this summer for a lot of reasons, one of which being he won't lose out on the money that it will look like at first, and I'll explain the whole details on that later on because it's got to do with the CBA, and I don't know, I don't want to go into the next 5 minutes on Jalen Brunson. I could just do a whole video on it. So we're going to do that instead. But when it comes to Julius, he really is one of the best players on the Knicks. He's the second best player on the Knicks. I mean, he's been an all-star, 3 of the last 4 seasons. He would have made All-NBA for the 3rd time in 4 years if he didn't get hurt. He, healthy, would have brought the Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals with Jalen Brunson. If OG was healthy, the Knicks would be in the NBA Finals. And I don't think they'd lose to the Dallas Mavericks. So I'm being honest. A healthy Knicks team, I think, would have won this year's NBA Finals. So I don't see a reason why the Knicks would move Julius unless they know they have to make a trade for someone better. Maybe like a Devin Booker or something. Dariel did that video talking about how if Booker were to ask out, you know, he's CAA, so that might happen. It won't happen, guys. It's not going to happen. Devin Booker's not getting traded. Not this summer. Maybe next one. Maybe. He's not getting traded this summer. So outside of that, I don't really know who specifically the Knicks would try to move Julius for. It's not like the idea of trading him for Zion is long gone since RJ and Cam Reddish are long gone. So that's not an option. I'm not sure who the Knicks would try to trade Julius for, if I'm being honest. However, it is a possibility. I, however, think they're more likely willing to try to pair a 3rd star with Julius, with Jalen Brunson, than to replace Julius, if that makes sense. But we're going to have to see. And guys, we're going to report that instantly when it happens, and you don't want to miss it. So like this video, subscribe to Knicks Digest, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, guys, and go Knicks!